Hello, everybody. So nice to see everyone here. This is the 626 midterm meeting, and I'd like to welcome all of you here. It's so nice to see so many people that I have just seen in non-real time, in real time. So hello. So I just want to explain how this is going to work. So what I am here for is I will do a brief overview of the midterm and what's expected. And then I am going to open it up to questions. You do not have to stay for the entire meeting. Whenever you feel like your question is answered, you are welcome to leave. You can come and go. This isn't a class. I'm not taking roll. I am recording this, however, so that people who couldn't come can see it. Most likely they'll have the same questions as you. If you have a question that you want answered privately, let me know and I'll create a breakout room and bring you into it later on during the meeting. So welcome to everyone. I'm going to start off and I'm going to take you through the midterm. Okay, so can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yes,
thank
we
you.
can.
Thanks. Sometimes it turns off my audio when I share screen. So this is the culturally diverse lesson plan. And on it, there's the required lecture where it's basically what I'm doing now, which is me going over it. There is the instructions, which are here. There is the template, which is here. And then these are the links to the Common Core standards. So I'm going to take you through right now just what is expected. So the point of this is to create a culturally diverse lesson plan. Now that's a little misleading in terms of the title because people think it's about diversity. It's really not about diversity. This is about going into depth about a culture that you investigated in your cultural self-assessment. So it can either be yours or it can be the other culture that you studied. And you're going to focus on an element of culture that you explored in your cultural self-assessment. It needs to be done developmentally. So you don't want to have, the history of someplace when you're working with 3-year-olds. It really has to make sense. The lesson should explore the culture in depth on an age-appropriate level. And it should not involve food or a holiday, which is usually the hard part. So I'm now going to take you back into that module. I'm going to take you to first off, make sure that you've watched that required lecture. It doesn't have a play pause in it, but it's really worth watching. It's just been updated and it's ready to go, just talking about what I'm expecting. Now, this is the lesson plan template. You find it above assessments and it'll download here into your computer. And you can just write on it directly. It's really the best way to do it, so I know that you've covered everything. Now, the central focus of the lesson is going to be what are you focusing on, and then you're going to address it to standards. Please try to make this no more than 2 standards. Otherwise, you end up really losing focus in your lesson. So sort of those, I wouldn't do 1 standard, but 2 standard really does tend to cover it. Then you're going to go into objectives. What do they know and will be able to do by the end of the session? Your materials, it can be books, crayons, pencils, anything you can think of. Prior academic and learning prerequisite skills. So if you're reading to them about, I think I use shoes, they need to know what shoes are. They need to have worn shoes. That would have been their prior learning. And the misconception is only people in America wear shoes and we're studying a different country. Then we're going to go into a lesson before, during, and after. And at this point, I think most of you have probably done these lesson plans. And then an extension on how you could extend the lesson if time permits. This is going to be the place for your formative assessment. And you're going to build on you're going to think about how you're going to use those community and cultural aspects. And since this is a lesson really on a different culture, this is where you're going to investigate why you're doing it. And then we're going to go over here, community, family outreach, and communication. One of the points of building this is really to build bridges with people in the community and people in your classroom. So think about ways that you can bring them into the classroom or have them be a resource for what you're doing. This is something we've been talking about all semester, is building that bridge from home to school. And so this is the place to really add in why you really this, what you're going to do to engage the families. So don't just go on about Google Translate. You want to go really more in depth.
Professor, excuse me.
Yeah.
Are you sharing a screen with us? Because all we see is Module 6 lesson plan template without you. Okay,
Oh,
now we
there we
see.
go. Sorry.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you did. So you can see where this is. This is that diverse lesson plan. And when I was talking about the building on personal assets, it's here. And when I'm talking about community, family outreach, and communication, that's here. That's this section. And acknowledgments, you should not be taking this directly from any source. But if you use sources to help inform what you're doing, you can put them here. But you are creating a brand new lesson. So please don't Google it and just change a few things. Make sure that you really create something unique. And when you turn it in, make sure that you're not getting a turn it in score higher than 30%, because then we know there's a problem. So that is, without showing, I feel badly you guys didn't get to see it, but I think you get the sense of it. That is the lesson plans in a nutshell. So I'm here to answer individual questions that people may have as they're going through this process, or anything about the class as well. Yes, Beverly.
Professor,
Yeah.
so it's the lesson plan is going to be about a culture that we studied, and the standards are going to be from whatever standards we use in school.
Well, the standards are the Common Core standards. So just make sure that they're age appropriate for what you're doing. So you should be able to go into, I don't know that these are the next gen ones, but you can find them from here, or you can stick with these Common Core standards.
So are we going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about culture from whatever grade that we choose?
Yes. So you might just want to bring in an element of the culture. So it might be too hard to go really in depth if you're working with little ones, but you might want to think about how you can incorporate it into what you're doing in an age appropriate way.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. Any other questions I can answer?
Okay.
Professor, I wanted to ask a question. I used the wrong template, but it has all of those things on it. I used the template from a previous, like the Toro template.
Okay.
But I did see that yours, when I clicked yours as you were talking about it, I was like, oh, but it does have the same things. I just deleted the stuff that you didn't include in it.
Okay, that's fun. Yeah, it's got a few things I took out of it just because
And
it
I
doesn't
appreciate
need,
that, because it was like, I was like,
yeah,
no.
it doesn't need to be as in depth about your formative assessment and your summative assessment and all of that, because really what we're focusing on, I mean, we do want an assessment in there so that you know that they're learning, but this isn't a complete unit. This is really one lesson. How do you incorporate culture into it?
And can I just test my example? I was picking music.
Yeah, music is fine. Absolutely. The
Okay.
arts are a great way to explore different cultures as well.
Okay.
I know people get really
Thank you.
stumped when they're like, I can't do food or holidays. Uh-oh.
No, yeah, I was like, what can I do? I immediately went straight to music.
Any other questions? All right. So as I said, you do not need to stick around if you don't have any questions. You're welcome to stick around. But I am here to answer questions about the midterms or anything having to do with the class. Otherwise, I am just here. I can create a breakout room if you need one-on-one attention, but otherwise you're free to come and go as you please. I just wanted to, it's wonderful that you all came because it was nice to see you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm sorry, if there's no other questions, we can leave, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and thank you so much for making this meeting.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a
Okay.
nice day, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So,
Safia, you had a
yes.
question?
Yeah, I know that you did mention that it shouldn't be food or any holiday. So I also wanted to know whether, like, if, for example, I had Southeast Asian and American, so I can do Anglo-American as well,
Yes.
or I can do Southeast Asian. That's what you're
Yes.
saying, right?
Yep.
It doesn't have to be my own culture.
It does not.
Okay. And it just has to be culture, like something, an aspect of culture.
Yep.
Like it could be art, craft, music. What else? I'm thinking aloud.
Make sure, though, my pet peeve is if you're doing art,
Yeah.
please don't do pre-cuts or pre-tracing
Oh.
because that's not art. You want
Yeah.
children to own the art. So if you're doing something, they should be able to have some control over it.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Anything else I can answer? Beverly, anything else I can answer for you?
Yes, Professor. So if we are going to be, I was thinking of doing music from my culture, but I was a little bit concerned that, I mean, I'm doing pre-K to grade 2. I'm just trying to figure out how I could, I don't know, bring in music in such a way that it could appeal to um the grade that I'm choosing to do, which is grade 1.
Dance might be a way to go. Kids love to dance. They love to sing. They love to dance. They love to clap their hands. And when they're in first grade, they haven't yet gotten that sort of shame factor associated with it.
Yes.
They're
But
embarrassed.
if it was a video, but then it's a lesson plan, so I'm just trying to see.
I would start with the standards. Go look in some of those standards and see if anything appeals. It'll give you direction rather than backwards planning.
Okay.
First, I started to do something in dance, the African American dance. But I'm thinking for the activity, if we can have them doing like a project showcasing the various type of dance and do like a presentation instead of them demonstrating the actual dance. Your take on that.
What you think will engage them is the way to go. I mean, it's a really good way to learn is to physically do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
So, Professor, we're going to have to write all of those things since it's just a lesson plan. I mean, it would have been more if it was something that you could literally show, it would have been more.
The idea, though, is that you have to really get used to doing these lesson plans. And one of the places that we found students were falling short was understanding how to incorporate culture and community into the lesson plans. And so that was one of the things we really wanted to make sure was stressed in this class.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.